Okay. Would you be willing to introduce yourself and the members of your family?
You bet. Lead us out, Summer.
So we're the Cheney family. I'm Summer.
I'm Brian.
And we have our son Colson, who is 22, our middle son Ammon. He would be turning 20 next week. He passed away almost 9 years ago. And then our youngest daughter, Bryn, is 17.
I mean, we all have amazing origin stories, right? But Ammon's origin story is amazing. We have felt that Ammon had a little bit of understanding of how hard life was going to be. I don't know if he understood all the details, if that was all shared with him, but we have felt there was definitely an understanding that life is going to be hard. And yet I love his reaction. It was still, I still want to go. It'll be okay. I'm going to an amazing family. They're always going to love me. I still want to go. And I love that spirit about him. Ammon came, he was unexpected. 2 months early, right, to the shouts of doctors and nurses shouting over each other, equipment being knocked to the floor. I wasn't even there. I was 1,000 miles away, and all of this was occurring. But Ammon just couldn't wait to have this mortal experience, to come to Earth and be part of our family.
So the day he was born, I found out earlier that there was something wrong with his heart and he wasn't growing. And so they needed to do a C-section that day. And while we were waiting to be life flighted so that we could have a pediatric cardiac specialist there, we had a nurse that was inspired to put a heart rate monitor on me. In the meantime, his heart rate just started dropping. And so they took me in to deliver him, and he was a miracle. He survived, so he had lots of challenges from the very beginning, but we just felt that he was here for a purpose, and he survived to come to our family.
Yeah.
So he was 2.5 pounds when he was born. He had Down syndrome because everything happened so fast. He had cerebral palsy, and he ended up not having to have heart surgery, which was a blessing because he was so small. But he had holes in his heart that caused him to be on an oxygen machine for the first 9 months of his life, and he just improved from there. So that was great.
So Ammon was in the NICU for a little bit over 2 months. And when he was born, again, it took a miracle for him to be here and to arrive. And it took a lot of miracles for him to stay and continue to live and be part of our family. And there's these wonderful girls in our neighborhood that nobody knew any details, right? We didn't even have a name for Ammon yet. He was just baby Cheney because it was so early. We hadn't picked all that stuff out yet. And they had gone around the neighborhood and collected money so that they could then go buy some gas cards that we could use to travel back and forth and see Ammon at the hospital. And the hospital was about a half hour away from our home. And every day, multiple times a day, Summer and I would travel up there to be with him. And I'd go up after work. And, no one on earth had any idea how long Ammon was going to be in the hospital. The doctors didn't know. We didn't know. Could have been weeks, could have been months. Again, it turned out to be a little over 2 months. But we used those gas cards religiously. And on the day after Christmas, when we went to go up to the hospital to pick Ammon up and bring him home, and we could finally be with him at home instead of just visiting next to his bassinet at the hospital, we stopped for gas. The tank was empty. And I remember being in the cold, brisk wind, and it's wintertime, and just thinking about being with Ammon. And at this point, it was almost without thinking, sliding the gas card into the reader and pumping the gas, and the pump switched off. The gas tank was entirely full, and the receipt printed out. And I remember looking at it and there was nothing left. Everything had been depleted. The gas card had perfectly paid for all the gas that would be required for every trip for the very last time that we'd have to travel to see Ammon instead of just being with him at home. And I remember just turning that card over and over in my hand, thinking of all these great people that just love our family and love this little baby that they've never even met, haven't even seen him before, but they've been praying for him for months now. And Heavenly Father is definitely in the details. God's in the details of our lives, right? Years ago, I was able to be a missionary in Fiji and teach others about Jesus Christ. And part of that, we went and served and volunteered at a wonderful school for children with special needs, with different challenges in their lives. It's called the Boss School for Special Education. And I love how Heavenly Father, again, prepared me and put in my heart these tender feelings for these wonderful children that sometimes are misunderstood, not treated well, or as a child of God like they truly are. And yet I had these wonderful feelings in my heart so that I was prepared when Ammon would come. And Summer had similar experiences in her life as well.
The limitations that Ammon experienced on earth, the things that he went through, how did that affect him in his daily life and your family in your daily life? What did that experience look like day to day?
Yeah, I mean, when he started like moving around and stuff, and he could roll around and push his head up, but he never had like core strength, so he always had to be either carried or helped to walk. But he loved to walk. Like if you could stand behind him and hold him, that was like his favorite thing. So he always had to have someone help him. So all of us, and Colson was just, this little kid that he wanted to help his brother too, and so we all pitched in and helped carry him or walk him, and he could only do like little shout outs, and they were just like happy little kind of like yells when he wanted something, and Colson got good at mimicking him, and they would just kind of do these ahs like back and forth. So we really had to just kind of be in tune with his needs all the time. When he was about 3 years old, he started having seizures, and so that was really hard because then it took away like the little bit of abilities that he did have. They kind of regressed, and so again, it was just always trying to figure out what he needed, and just trying to do our best. But he could roll around sometimes and kind of be sneaky and get himself into a pickle of being against a wall or something, or getting close to the stairs, but he'd always kind of yell to let us know, I'm going to do something dangerous.
Yeah.
We'd save him before he roll down the stairs.
I mean, it's great. You got this sweet, innocent, perfect kid, right? And but yet he knew how to be a little mischievous at times. And if you had a piece of paper in your hand, he would just and grab that paper. He loved to crinkle paper and everything. One thought on Ammon walking, he loved to walk, right? But he needed help, and he had a gait trainer. He'd put him in, it's got 4 wheels, and he could walk all on his own with that. But it would still take everything in him to be able to do that. He would literally walk on his tippy toes as he pushed himself forward, and every muscle was contracted, everything was flexing, and it looked really uncomfortable. And you might wonder, okay, why would a mom and dad put their son through that, something that looks really uncomfortable? Because the moment he started walking, this big smile had come on his face, and he started doing those shout outs. And it's like he's saying, Mom, I can do it. I'm just like everybody else. And he can play, and
And he loved to be in the water because you don't have to necessarily bear weight for the water. So I think a lot of our family activities revolved around going to the ocean because he liked the feel of the sand and being in the water. So pools, those are some of our family memories and things to do together that you figure out.
one other thought there is, I mean, that's a lot, right? Down syndrome, which is wonderful. Cerebral palsy, epilepsy. And then later in life, he was diagnosed with cancer and had other things occurring in his life. That's a lot. But those diagnoses, those conditions are not Ammon. It's not who he really is or was. Instead, first and foremost, Ammon's a child of God. He's a son of God. And he was amazing. In fact, he's just like you and me, but more often he was much better. That's how I think of Ammon. Despite all the hard stuff in his life, still there was just so much joy and so much love there. So many miracles that came from that. It's really interesting because when I think of Ammon being called to heaven, there was a time where this is awesome. My legs work, I can run, I can jump, I can do all these things that I've seen everybody else do my whole life. I just wanted to be part of that. And I'm sure there was a period of time where he just experienced that and felt all that and the joy of all that. But then I just picture Ammon saying, okay, I've been called back for a reason. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to serve. I'm ready to help. You know? It was, so Ammon with his cerebral palsy, it made it really hard for him to control his muscles. And part of the Down syndrome as well also made, muscle tone kind of different and hard to control his body. So it wasn't uncommon to see Ammon holding his hands like this. Just not that he's angry or upset or anything. It's just how his hands were. His toes curled over each other, and different parts of him were just, it was hard. His body just didn't work the way that he wanted it to. And there was one morning we would sometimes, in the middle of the night, we'd go in and refill his feeding tube and everything. And one morning I was in the process of doing that. It was early in the morning and Ammon started to wake up. It was amazing because as he started to wake up, he started to stretch and he put his arms straight down in front of him and his toes pointed straight down and everything was working perfectly. And then he slowly brought his hands up and put them up above his head and stretched in a Y and just rotated his fingers back and forth. And every muscle fired perfectly. It obeyed every command that his mind was telling it to do. And then it's like he fully woke up and his toes curled back over themselves and his hands went back like this. And he looks over at me and, I said, hi, Ammon, good morning. And he gives me one of his sighs, like, oh, and he was ready for the day. And it was just wonderful to see for a brief moment what the resurrection of Jesus Christ will bring into his life and did bring into his life, right? Where everything just worked and he didn't have to think about it and it was easy. It was how it should be.
Sometimes, we would be trying to sleep and then we'd just hear him laughing. He'd go into his room and he's just laughing and looking around and we just always wonder who he's seeing. There's got to be some, grandma's coming, to play with him or something and be laughing because I would spend all day just trying to do the silly things and sing to him and get him to smile and laugh and nothing, no reaction. But then all of a sudden when it's all quiet and peaceful, he would just be laughing.
Would you be willing to explain the moment that you found out that he would have certain limitations on Earth? What went through your mind? Anything that you were thinking of how to care for him or any worries or any excitements that you had, if you'd be willing to share that?
Yeah. So I clearly remember the doctor coming in. Again, we've been there for a few days and he's just like, okay, here's a list of things that are going on. And I want to say there were about 10 different things on
There's
the
a lot
list.
going on.
His eyes, his lungs, his heart.
He was building up to something.
Yes. And And it was kind of like, and this is how we're going to, approach this or take care of this. And you need to, do this procedure and stuff. And then at the end, it was like, and we think he has Down syndrome. And I remember us just feeling this like overwhelming love.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay. That's great.
That's great.
You
Tell us about everything else. That's stuff we're worried about.
Yeah.
This is,
It was almost like a hesitation. We're like, this is going to be something that you're going to live with the rest of your life, or the other things are going to probably be healed over time. Um, and so it was kind of almost like an opposite reaction that they were kind of expecting us to have, that we just had, this feeling of love. And I'm always like so grateful for that, because I think that's how we were able to approach like his whole life. Like fast forward, to 6 years later when he was diagnosed with cancer again. We had gone to the doctor just knowing something's wrong, and we couldn't figure out. Ammon couldn't tell us what was wrong, but he was crying a bunch for weeks, and I just knew something really bad was wrong, and we couldn't figure it out. And when they came back with his blood work saying he has cancer, there was just this relief over me, like, oh good, like we found our answer, and it was okay, even though that's probably the worst news that you want to hear. Um, but it was like almost like the same thing several years later, where it's going to be okay. Like, that's okay.
yeah, it's Summer's amazing. She, when Ammon was diagnosed with cancer, we didn't know. We'd never been through that process before. And I remember the doctor, we were in the ER for a really long time. And we'd been in the ER before. We'd been in the hospital for long stays before for Ammon's life. But it was unusually long. And when the doctor finally came back in, the lead doctor for that day, he grabbed a paper towel from the dispenser and rolled over in the swivel chair. And he's like, I got to draw this out for you. Yeah. And he drew, he said, his pictures were pretty basic. But he said, this is a bone. And these are the cells in a bone, and that the marrow makes, and all that type of thing. And I couldn't understand with any detail, exactly what he was talking about at that time, other than he said, these are the white blood cell counts, and they normally should be in this range, and they're about 10 times that. And so Ammon either has a really bad virus or he has cancer. And it's like Summer said, there was just this feeling of Ammon needed answers. And this was an answer to why he was experiencing so much pain. And so the hope for and pleadingly prayed for really bad virus turned out not to be what he had. And the next day, it was confirmed that he actually had cancer. And it started that journey. And I just remember sitting there after the doctor walked out of the ER room, and I look over at Summer, and there she is with Ammon in her arms, like he always is. They had been in these situations so many times before. We're used to certain bombs going off in Ammon's life. But there she was, just holding her son securely in her arms. And everything was going to be okay, even though a really, really hard thing was about to start. Because we just felt there's all these miracles that are also going to start as well. Going back to when Ammon was born, or in the year after that, we joined the local Down syndrome community, right? And they wrapped their arms around us, and we wrapped our arms around them. And I remember being at a luncheon where we're talking about visiting new parents of someone that just has a child that has Down syndrome. And Summer and I, we were talking to the lead coordinator, and we're just like, oh, that's awesome. We can't wait, to borderline congratulate people. This is the best thing that can happen in their lives. This is amazing. And she's like, we probably need you to tone that down a little bit because people might not react that same way. But that's just how we felt right from the get-go with Ammon. that he's our miracle boy. He's here for a purpose. And we kept finding those purposes again and again and again in his life. And it was just amazing.
Like, it was almost like overwhelming to think like, oh, this special spirit's coming to our home. Like, I hope we're good enough.
He made us good enough, huh? It's interesting because this was a pretty common experience, but it summarized well in this experience for a friend of ours. She was sitting behind us at church. This is really early on in Ammon's life, and Ammon was being held by one of the grandmas, she said, and he was up on her shoulder. And she said, I just felt this strong spirit coming from him, so much so that I just wanted to be near him. I just wanted to hold him because I didn't want to lose the spirit that I felt from him and this wonderful love of God that, that didn't come from Ammon. It came from God. But as it came into Ammon, he magnified it to everyone around him. It wasn't necessarily uncommon to have someone come up to us, I was here in the cultural hall or in this room and, and all these people are coming in. And all of a sudden I just felt good. I just felt better. And I turned around, I'm like, oh, there's Ammon. He just is wheeling in his wheelchair, and okay, now I understand. Now I know why I feel a little bit better all of a sudden. Ammon just had that ability to take the Holy Spirit and just magnify it. It's really interesting how someone that can't even say a word is never able to get up to the pulpit and preach a sermon or read a scripture or bear testimony. How powerful he was, though, just through being him and the experiences that he had in helping others to feel God's love and to come unto Jesus Christ. I mean, can you be an amazing missionary for Christ without ever saying a word? Ammon's the best missionary I've ever known. Most powerful young man I've ever known. And that says a lot. I know a lot of powerful, really good Christians,
I think it's humbling too when people would say like, oh, I was having like a hard day or I have this challenge coming up, but just being around Ammon, I thought like, okay, like I can do this.
Everything that you were saying kind of led me into this question already, so I'll just ask it if there's any additional things you'd want to say about how despite his hardships on earth, how he was able to help others feel joy and feel closer to Jesus Christ. Like you said, he wasn't able to communicate in the ways that all of us normally do. And so what that looked like, the impact that had, if there's any additional things that come to mind for you.
I think Ammon was like we would be his voice or other people would be his voice. He'd really help us to get outside of our comfort zones, to be present when others need help, when they're in difficult situations, right? That's where Ammon's cookies came from, an inspiration that we felt from Ammon to share those with others and help bring God's love into their lives.
I think one thing that we really appreciate that Ammon brought to our family is that, and we did start joining the community with kids with special needs, and how that just helped us to learn to love others no matter what their maybe a disability or their situation, and in return just met so many people because of that, and again because they would see Ammon and the things that he was going through. That just really a two-way situation where he was able to bless them and they were able to like bless us in our lives.
Yeah.
And we always wanted to pay that forward. When anybody ever did anything that was kind to us, it's like, okay, let's go help somebody else. So I think he really helped us to learn to always look for ways to pay things forward.
Yeah, regardless of what was occurring in our lives. You know, Dad, bring a plate of cookies to someone, even though I'm in the hospital right now. Mom, go do this service for someone else, even though I'm really sick right now and I can't leave the home. He really taught us how to look beyond ourselves and still love and serve others. We have all these great experiences of returning to Fiji, which Ammon was never able to do physically during his life. But we would go back often and be with those wonderful kids and teachers at this special school. And we just got pictures upon pictures of getting down on the floor with a young man that can't walk, can't move, and just being next to him. You know, some are holding wonderful kids in her arms, Matthew and others, and just all these incredible experiences that I think and I feel wouldn't have happened in our families' lives and our friends and others that we bring with us without this wonderful motivation and inspiration that Ammon always brought. It's really cool.
Are there any personal stories that come to mind where Ammon was able to bring you closer to Jesus Christ, whether it was together as a couple or just individually? Any stories that come to mind for you?
We learned, because we had to adapt to every day just kind of being different sometimes, of different health challenges, or not being able to go out, like if the weather's not good or people are sick, or and then like the stuff didn't matter. Stuff like doesn't matter. Like family matters and our relationships with others. Those things just like took priority. And so I think being able to focus on our relationships with Jesus Christ and with our family is what we were able to focus on more than just the stuff that doesn't really matter.
We had lots of experiences that taught us about what really matters in life. And that's, you know, time with others, with family and friends, love, service. I remember one time I was sitting here on the couch with Ammon, and we're always holding Ammon, and that's one of my favorite things to do. And it was just him and I, and we're sitting there together, and I'm talking to him, and he's talking back in his way, and we're communicating. And during a quiet moment, all of a sudden, all these contrary thoughts started to come into my mind, and contrary questions, and they were of the effect of, could you tell Ammon that these things are not true? Could you tell him that there is no plan for him, let alone plan of salvation? There's no purpose to his experiences in life. Could you tell him that he won't be made whole again someday through Jesus Christ, that none of this is real? Could you tell him that he's not a child of God? Now, that was a really interesting experience. And as those questions kept going through my mind, the force just built up within me. And the answer was, could you tell Ammon he's not a child of God? No. The words would choke in my mouth and burn my soul. I couldn't tell him those things, obviously. And I thought about it. I'm like, okay, part of that response comes from being Ammon's dad and being a witness to God's love and miracles every day in his life and in our lives. But I also think if you just took any old person off the street, they also wouldn't be able to say those things to Ammon because his spirit wouldn't allow it. And it goes back to Ammon just being one of the most amazing missionaries for Christ that I've ever known, all without being able to say a word.
I think another thing was music, because he loved music, and when we would sing,
He loved music.
uplifting songs about Jesus Christ, or like primary songs, and because we sang them like over and over, they're just permeated in your being on a daily basis, which just makes you feel joy. And when we were in the hospital, we'd have to sing songs in front of everybody to get him to calm down. But that, again, that's sharing the love of our Savior and making other people feel loved through music. And that was another way that we drew closer to Christ.
it was awesome. One time, Ammon was in the hospital and just feeling uncomfortable. And it was just him and I on this occasion. And one of his favorite songs is, "Have I Done Any Good in the World Today?" So I'm sitting there singing that song, not at the top of my lungs, but I thought it wasn't loud enough over the beeps of the machines and everything else going on in his room. And I finished up, and Ammon had calmed down, and he was resting. And the nurse, she says to me, "I don't think I've ever heard that version of that song before," because I always change a few words, right? And then she looked at Ammon and how calm he was, and she says, "It looks like it worked perfectly, Dad." Ammon he loved music. He loved the sound of our voices, and he was always really sensitive to, we were sensitive as a family not to allow bad feelings to linger in our home, not to allow, a negative feeling to be here, because he would pick up on that. He would sense that. He would cry at the sound of loud noises, loud clapping. Even someone with a really deep voice, he loved my voice. But other people with a deep voice that might sound a little bit harsh, he would cry, even when they're just saying, "Hi, Ammon," but in a deep voice. He was really sensitive to things that are hard and negative. And so we always tried to make our home a place where we're not perfect, far from, but a place where love could be felt more often, kind words and kindness towards each other, even in the middle of really hard, stressful situations. Again, we weren't always perfect, but we tried, and Ammon really helped us in that regard.
Could you share any thoughts on Ammon's relationship with his siblings and any stories that come to mind of their interactions that just kind of brought a smile to you?
Colson and Ammon are best friends. They didn't have the normal brother-to-brother childhood that most brothers have, right? But they were the best of friends, and Colson always took care of his brother. There's a sense and a feeling that, again, Ammon understood that life was going to be hard. I still want to go. It's going to be okay. And there's a feeling that Colson was there as well. And it's okay. I'll go first. I'll be your big brother. I'll take care of you. And I'll help you. It's going to be okay. All right, let's do this together. And we saw that often in life. Again, they're brothers. It's not always perfect. Sometimes Colson would get a little upset. "Hey, how come Ammon doesn't have to do the dishes? How come Ammon doesn't need to vacuum?" And, well, are you really asking that question? Well, yeah, I am. I'm a kid. Anyhow.
Then we'd say, "You can do it for him."
Yep. But that's what brothers do, right? And Colson actually hand wrote himself as a 5-year-old and submitted to a furniture store the story of him wheeling Ammon down to his bus as a 3-year-old. Ammon started going to preschool and all these other school things as a 3-year-old, and Colson would push him down to the bus in his wheelchair and help him get on the bus and everything. And he wrote that story, submitted it to the furniture store for a little contest that they were doing, and he won an entire new bedroom set because as the people at the store read through that story, they're all just crying and talking with each other, and they're like, this kid, he's an amazing big brother. And we had that furniture set his whole life.
I think Colson and Bryn were both very good at reading stories and singing songs to Ammon too, and trying to entertain him, especially when we were just trying to make dinner, and they would surround his beanbag and entertain him.
Bryn loved climbing all over Ammon when she was just a little baby learning how to crawl. And Ammon was a willing, maybe unwilling participant. He just took it. So, but he wouldn't cry. He just loved it. Oh, there's someone else that finally just wants to be with me. and do the things that I do, which is roll around on the ground, which is play with stuff on the floor, you know? And Bryn was right there with them. And they love their brother so much.
Being someone who's now part of the family who never got to meet Ammon, but knowing about all of his stories and hearing about his influence, how do you feel that following his passing, he's still been able to uplift so many people? He's still someone who touches hearts of others, and his spirit is still here. How do you feel that has happened, and what effect do you feel like that has on people, even though he's no longer physically here?
So we try to always share his story with other people. We have a rock that, well, it's several rocks, but we started having these rocks that say, like, be valiant, being kind, that we take with us on vacations or when we've done experiences where we've met new people that have really impacted our life, and we try to share his story that way. And then always try to be kind to others because of him.
Yeah. Yeah, speaking about it, it's called Ammon's Rock. And our dear friend Kai, everyone needs a Kai in their lives. Kai's amazing. He dropped everything on the night that Ammon was passing away. Very unexpected. And he dropped everything. He's a nurse in another hospital. And he dropped everything to come down and to be with us. And Kai just makes really hard situations a little bit better. That's the type of person Kai is. But he really took it to heart. He has his own Ammon Rock, and he takes it all over the US, all around the world, and he travels a lot. He's a traveling nurse. And then he sends us these pictures. And sometimes, there's Kai out fishing in the middle of the river, and he's holding Ammon's Rock. And he'll send us the picture and a little quote at the bottom that says, Ammon was a fisher of men. And I'll do those type of things wherever he's at. And there was one time Kai was visiting a very sacred place, and like he always does, he brought Ammon with him. He brought Ammon's Rock with him, because he always brings Ammon on all of his adventures. He never forgets him. And we got this wonderful picture. Kai's wife is named Rita. And while Kai was taking a picture of Ammon's Rock, Rita felt that something important was happening. And she took a picture of Kai taking a picture of Ammon's Rock. And it was in that moment where Kai later said that he felt something from Ammon. He wouldn't want me to call it a message or anything like that, but he felt a correction, a teaching from Ammon. And it was essentially, Kai, you've done a wonderful thing here. This has really helped my mom and my dad, my brother and my sister, that you've helped them to know that you remember me, that I was important, that I had great purpose in life. But Kai, don't ever forget that it's not really about me. It's about Jesus Christ. It's all about him. He's the only reason why I'll be able to see you again someday, that I'll be with my family again someday. And so keep bringing me along on all these adventures, but always make sure you bring Christ with you as well and share those adventures with him as well. That's just one example of the lasting impact that Ammon has even today with so many people that never had the chance to meet him in person. Going back to what I said earlier, Ammon was called home to heaven, yes, because he was a good and faithful servant. And yes, because he had, through Christ, earned all those rewards, all those blessings that come with returning home. But also he went home so that he could continue to serve. And he's often, I expect, near, just like angels are round about us to bear us up. I've always felt that with Ammon, that if Heavenly Father's going to assign some angel to come and be with us, of course it would be Ammon. Who else would it be? A month or two before Ammon was diagnosed with cancer, I had this really interesting thought, and it went like this: Have I ever prayed for the miracle of complete healing? Yeah. Had I ever felt like that miracle of complete healing would happen if I just had more faith? Yeah, I felt that a lot. And then I thought, but if that miracle of complete healing happened, then numerous other miracles would never be performed, would never be known, would never be needed. So yeah, I continued to pray for miracles every day, and they came. Even though that miracle of complete healing didn't happen in that moment, it allowed so many other miracles to continue to happen. And I think that happens in all of our lives, where we just want everything to be perfect, everything to be healed in every way right now. But I think sometimes the purpose of this life is that we continue to experience things that are hard amidst the joy and the miracles, because that's how they come. And that's a powerful lesson that Ammon taught me, and how much God loves us, and he shows us that love through his miracles in our lives.